gonna talk about some hypnotic language and using hypnotic language, we'll call it, during picking up somebody or creating or building attraction and arousal in a new person. Okay, so some valuable info for some of you guys. Hit the like button, of course, whatever. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, get on my email list, and wow, let's get into it. So, okay, there's all kinds of techniques when you're interacting with a woman, when you're talking to a woman, and you get to that point where you're like on that date. Okay, sometimes this can happen during online interaction, but this should be limited, like your online interaction. If you're sourcing online, meaning you've met somebody through a dating app, social media, or whatever, you should be getting on a date, right? So you shouldn't be spending a lot of time doing these techniques on a platform. You should be in front of this person, with few exceptions to that, okay? So, that being said, you're in these conversations, you're learning things about each other. She is, asking questions like, what do you like to do? Or, what are your dreams and goals? Or, you know what I mean? We're talking like the non-sexual interview style questions that happen on all these first encounters. And so some of you guys, you get into these interview style questions and you get locked up in there and you don't know how to get out of it. Like, I'm in the interview now and I'm on this coffee date or drink date or whatever. This is the first time I'm meeting this person, and now I'm in an interview. They're asking me like, what's your job and what do you do and blah, blah, blah. And then you're going backwards the same thing. What do you do? And it's just all right. It's boring. Okay, and she's bored and you're bored. So it's up to you as a man to change this around. Okay, so here's a technique that you can use to help that, because sometimes they got anxiety, and we're not talking like, some insta thought, right, that you're just basically gonna, come over, act like a dick, and get her to bang you, okay? This is actually somebody who may be worth a crap, and you're actually, and women that are worth a crap, hot women that are worth a crap, they might, they're not sure, they might get, not sure where to go with some of these conversations. And they've been on so many lame, boring dates, right? They're just not sure what to do. They're trying to figure it out, right? Just like you are. So of course, though, you're going to be the expert now because you're watching this video. So what you do, here's a technique. Is you I got a big ass lemon in this thing. Anyway, you use, we call it hypnotic language, but really it's storytelling. And it's a visualization way. It's a visualization exercise, all right. And it causes her to visualize being in situations with you that are sexual, or that are, you could say, non-platonic. I don't know, romantic. Is that a word we want to use for it? I don't know what word you want to use. I'm not always good with those words, right? Whatever, but. Yeah, you're creating a vision. You're causing her to visualize being in a scenario with you where there's high desire, okay, and burning desire, versus this lame-ass conversation that you're in right now with her, where she's asking you interview questions and you're asking her interview questions, and it kind of sucks, right? So, and a lot of times guys will try to be, well, I'm going to be cocky funny, okay, or I'm gonna, which sense of humor is good, but a lot of you guys suck at it and you're forced, and so you fail. Or you are like, oh, well, let me be a dick, or, let me compliment her ass or whatever. Like, you just, you don't know how to transition it comfortably from, okay, she's just asking interview questions because she doesn't know what to do, and she's kind of closed. If you remember my seduction quadrant, she's kind of closed right now because maybe anxiety on a first meeting, or she's not sure about you. She could even be intimidated by you. Maybe you're really attractive and she's intimidated by you. That can happen too. So you're wanting to open her a little more sexually. So this is, again, a technique that where she can do that. So she asks, like, what do you do in your spare time? You know, and you can just give whatever flippant kind of answers, you know, keep a little bit of mystery. And then you'll ask a question like, all right, if I could steal you away right now, we could go anywhere in the world, where would we go? What would our day look like? All right. So that, okay, that right there, language. So, and you're using language that's visualizing. If I could steal you away right now, all right, it's creating imagery in her head. You're literally stealing her. You're grabbing her by the fucking hand or arm. You're getting her up off her chair, and you're walking out of this place, and you're going to wherever the plane is waiting for you guys, and you're going someplace. You see what I mean? Like it creates this visualization, this fantasy. Women have very vivid fantasy lives. Think romance novels, okay? Think pornography that is directed towards women and not men. If you ever take a look at any of that stuff, there's a deep fantasy that is created because that is what gets them turned on, and that's what gets them into a seduction mode. Okay, so you are going to not just, you can use language to create that fantasy for her, you know, but that's not really good on a first encounter, because now you're sort of qualifying to her, because she hasn't earned anything yet, right? She hasn't earned anything. So now you're going to tell her like, oh, I take you to Indonesia, we'll go to Bali. Like you're gonna look like a douchebag, right? Because she hasn't, you're gonna take me to Bali, we haven't had sex yet, you know? She hasn't earned it yet. She knows that, and that puts you, woo, you know, lower than her, right? Hypergamy kicks in, she's no longer attracted. Okay. And you just look like a weirdo. But you create a situation where she is describing where she wants you to steal her away to. Well, now she's the one creating the fantasy, and she's creating a fantasy involving you. Now that opens her up, and you start to step away or get out of this interview mode that you're stuck in, and you start getting into more of a seduction territory. You know what I mean? And so you could use that with anything. She's like, well, what do you like to do for fun? You could say, we were going to do something like, let's say we're really hitting it off and we decide to go do something for fun. What is it? What's your favorite thing to do? And what would we be doing? See, you're putting yourself in the scenario where you're both doing a thing. You know what I mean? And then you just let her talk, but she's now going to create the fantasy involving you. And then from that fantasy, you can start to get sexual. You know what I mean? You can drop more sexual hints in there. You know what I mean? And you could lead this conversation from a platonic interview into more of a sensual, sexual one. You know what I mean? So she's talking about, you know, walking along the beach with you, and you know, in Bali when watching the sunset, you know, and you could say, well, what do you think? What do you think's going to happen? What do you think we're going to end up doing on that beach once the sun goes down? Right? You can just ask that question, and it's done in a way that is bringing up sexual imagery, and then she will lead the fantasy for you. She'll do it. You know what I mean? So anyway, that I won't make this too long a video. That's a technique you can use, and it's very effective, because again, you guys get caught. You know, you get caught in these first encounters, these first meetups, and you suck at them. You know, like you're learning how to online date. You're learning how to, you know, what to say on the text. And you get in front of a girl and you fall apart. And so this will help you. You know, there's times when you go mode 1 straight to sex. You know, that those are effective. But there's times with a lot of high-value women who are not just putting their ass out on social media, or, you know, basic hoes that are talking to you and 10 other guys, and, you know, they're just looking for the most amount of attention, status, and dick that they can find. Like, that's one subset of girls, and a lot of pickup people and people that give advice on dating are only dealing with that subset because they're going out to clubs or they're sourcing from the internet and picking only that subset of people up. Well, that subset of women don't even make good plates, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like, a really good plate is a 8 in sexual market value and up, who is not trying to, who's doing things with her life other than taking pictures of her ass and talking to 10 dudes or 20 different dudes on social media. You know what I mean? Like, right? So so a lot of women who aren't those types, they're not sure what to do on these dates. They're not, and a direct mode 1 is gonna be off-putting to them. It might scare them off a little bit because, yeah, they want to have sex, but they're trying to be a little bit more protective. They're not trying to just necessarily sleep with the guy and maybe they would just sleep with you within an hour of meeting you, with this technique. You know what I mean? But the point is, they have a vetting process in their minds. Their sexual action threshold may be higher. I've done a video, sexual action threshold, so check that out, where, that's their decision point. Maybe, they were a hoe 3 years ago and they're done being a hoe and now they don't want to have sex on the first date, so, it's going to take a lot of desire for them to decide to go to the bedroom with you. So it's a high sexual action threshold, right? And so a lot of quality, good, I don't know what term you want to use, but a lot of pretty decent women out there have higher sexual action thresholds, and so just straight mode 1, it's going to be off-putting to them. You know what I mean? And that's going to put you in, there's a time to go mode 1, but maybe it's not right there within the first 10 minutes of a coffee date or a drink date. You know what I'm saying? So this can lead you into that seduction portion. Seduction's a process, right? It's not just like, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, who wants to have sex with me? Sometimes it is, but seduction is a process, especially when you're dealing with high SMV women. So, first 5-10 minutes maybe she's not sexually open yet, so therefore a mode 1 approach isn't going to be, mode 1 being very direct, very sexual, isn't going to be the approach you want to take. So using these skill sets to create language, to using language that puts her into a place where she is visualizing and fantasizing about being with you in a manner that's non-platonic. So she's going from platonic interview, okay, to now she's visualizing being with you in a non-platonic sense, but it hasn't quite gone sexual yet. From there, you can start interjecting questions and flirting and interjecting ideas of this ending in a sexual place. You see, so you're leading and moving her along to a place of seduction versus into a place of being seduced, which is ultimately what she wants. She wants to be seduced, but she wants a guy who knows how to seduce her, right? To be the one to do it, not some weirdo who doesn't know anything about women. So anyway, I'll stop rambling and I'll end the video, but hopefully this makes sense to you and you can use some of these questions where you create in some hypnotic language where you're creating a visual image in her mind, and then she is continuing with that imagery into a fantasy that involves you. That's a lot better than, well, what do you like to do on the weekends, right? If we were gonna take the weekend off and go do some pretty amazing stuff together, what will we be doing? Okay, you see the difference? And so that will help you. That'll help you bridge some gaps between a dead interview date into seduction. Thanks for tuning in.